I just felt like he was in a space where I could trust it. I never thought that on Wednesday at 11:33 that I would get a call from the medical examiner's office telling me that my son was found by his roommates non-responsive. Hi, my name is Trishawnna Dandridge, and I'm the mother of a 21-year-old son named Shawn Fortune. My son was a very bright, helpful, happy, introverted young man who loved to spread love, he loved family, and he just loved genuine authenticity from whoever he engaged with. My son was the type of person that was an outcast. He didn't really get a lot of love, even though he displayed love. I remember him being in high school, and he was jumped. And it was kind of bad. It hospitalized him, and it gave him a brain injury. This he suffered for a couple of years, and it caused him to become even more introverted and suspicious about people that he engaged with. However, it never took away his ability and his want to help people. He had some type of magnetism to him that people that were less fortunate than what he was knew to come to him for help. And my son he wasn't doing well that good himself. But they knew that for some reason they could come to him, and he would do things like buy groceries. He would help people move things. He would give his energy to people that he just met, and the average person wouldn't even pay any attention to. But somehow the connection was there. I knew he was serving his purpose. My son was a light to this house. Me, his sister, and him. You know how two women are living in a house, they fuss, they argue. I never realized how much of a rock and just a glue that my son was before I lost him tragically and mysteriously. My son, he used to have my back when it came to a lot of things, and I never even realized it until he was gone. We did a lot of house cleaning together. We did grocery shopping together. Even when I didn't feel like doing certain things, he helped. He always knew what to say. And again, he just helped our family together. Now, my son was hopeful. He always had a hope to do better and to make sure that all his wrongs that he ever did were corrected. And so he went to therapy, and he had mental health therapy and a case manager. This is where the suspicion comes in. My son had a case manager named Buddy Love that just came out of nowhere. I don't know how he got involved with this guy. This case manager, when I went to look for his credentials, I couldn't find any online, any pictures, any websites, no references to him or his manager, Ralph Watkins, who both dropped the case once they found out the tragedy that happened to my son. Now, let's get to what happened. Buddy Love introduced something to my son that was supposed to elevate him and take him to the next level. A position and an opportunity to go to Job Corps. Now, we have a Job Corps being close to home where we're from. We're from Baltimore, Maryland, and the closest Job Corps is the Woodstock Job Corps. But Buddy Love told my son that Job Corps in particular was closed down. And so he sent him straight to the Pittsburgh Job Corps Center. Even though it felt rushed, I thought it would be something that would be good for my family. My son was hopeful. He told me he was going to better his life. He told his sister that. He told his cousins that. And I could see the shine and the brightness that was showing through him and glowing through him. I felt hopeful and excited for him. So that weekend, even though, it went by fast, I was feeling a little reserved and cautious about it. I don't know why. I just had this anxiety that just came through me for some reason. But everything was finalized. Job Corps sent me the itinerary for my son to get there. They sent me certain precautions as far as, what happens once he gets there to my email, so they knew I was involved in this journey and this destination for my son. So Monday, February 24th, my son was to go to Job Corps in Pittsburgh, and Buddy Love came to pick him up from my home around 7 o'clock in the morning. 15 minutes later, my son came back in the house and told me that he left his prescriptions and Buddy Love needed to him to get those prescriptions to take with him to Job Corps. Around 12 o'clock, I called my son. He was on the Greyhound already, headed to Job Corps with another student from Baltimore. He was hopeful, he was happy, he was excited, on his way, on his journey. He told me that to call him back once he get there, and he would arrive at around 12:30. So 12:30 came. I talked to my son on the phone. He was already lethargic. Something happened already that changed the brightness and the hopefulness that my son had to him hardly being able to talk, him being kind of, I guess, slumped over, because he was in the middle of intake. And once the person that was doing his intake saw that he was on the phone, she made it a thing to say, "Shawn, you can't take your medicine during the day. You have to take your medicine at night. That way you will be up in focus." Even though the itinerary that they sent to me said that upon the students coming to Job Corps, they would take everything that they have, confiscate anything that doesn't belong, give them a search, and then if they had medications, it would go to wellness, where it would be dispersed to them. All of that was not even in the terms of her saying, "Shawn, you have to take your medicine at night." So they weren't following their protocols. Then I talked to my son again that day. He still wasn't himself. He was kind of gloomy. The conversation was short. And I started to tell him, don't take the medicine. After what happened, I talked to a friend who told me that she talked to him as well. And he told her that the medicine was making him feel funny. Yet he kept taking that medicine. So Tuesday, on the 25th, I talked to my son, and he was still lethargic. He was still low energy. His voice didn't sound the same. I talked to him for 10 minutes, and I said, "Shawn, do not take the medicine. You are not schizophrenic. I don't know why they're telling you all of this to put you on medication. Do not take the medicine." When I finished looking at my call, it was like 10 minutes and some odd random seconds. But I know for that 10 minutes, the majority of it, I was telling him I felt something was not right. I just didn't know. And for real, I wish I could have did more. I wish he would have just told me something. I called him again that night around 6:30. We talked for 6 minutes and 30 seconds. He told me he was finally in his room. His roommates were there. He wasn't really saying anything to me. And then he told me he would call me back. I said, "Okay, Shawn." And I just felt like he was in a space where I could trust it. I never thought that on Wednesday at 11:33 that I would get a call from the medical examiner's office telling me that my son was found by his roommates non-responsive. I hopped up out of bed in disbelief that something was going on with my son. I never got a call like that to tell me that something happened to anybody that I love. I never got a call to say somebody died, nor did I get a call to say somebody was found unresponsive. So I know those words. And for some reason that morning, in my spirit, something told me to take it slow. I was laying in bed, and normally when I'm laying in bed that late, I'm beating myself up and telling myself, you need to get moving. But I'm so glad I didn't, because if I would have, I know that maybe something would have happened to me. Because I could not fathom the fact that my son left out of my house on Monday, February 24th, healthy and happy. My son started going to the gym. He was at the peak, starting to get in the peak of his health again. He was taking spirulina. He was doing soursop. He was making teas and stuff every day. We built a regimen until he left. None of that stuff was in his belongings that returned home. None of that. None of his health stuff was in there. But they want me to believe that my son died of fentanyl overdose. When my son, these are the prescriptions he was taking. He was taking aproproprazole, hydroxyzine, and Abilify. And on these prescriptions, these are for his mental health disorders. They even have him listed as being homeless. I don't know if you can see this, but homeless in Dundalk, when clearly on his ID it says our address, and I don't really want to put it, but it says it. This is where he lives with me, but they made him to be a homeless victim. Buddy Love, as soon as I called Buddy Love and told him what happened, this is his case manager. This is the person that put him into this program. This is what he said to me. He said, because the first time, he came to my mom's house, he answered questions. Once my mom wanted to know more questions, and there were more people that were going to ask him questions and hold him responsible, he said, "Hi, Miss Trishawnna. I have removed Shawn's case, so please forward any further information to my supervisor, Ralph Watkins." And then he gave me his number, 443-945. "Please accept my condolences to you and your family on your loss, and I bid thee peace." This is what Buddy Love says. So they just vanished from my son's case. They vanished from I don't know where to find these people at, to even ask them, how did my son get there? What happened? Anything, so I'm just sitting here with my oldest child that was here with me not too long ago, now dead, and I'm just supposed to believe that he died off of fentanyl. He went to Pittsburgh Job Corps and he died off of fentanyl. And this is just unbelievable. I want to get answers. I want to demand justice for my son. My family deserves to know what happened to my son, my oldest, my firstborn son. Now my household is no more like it used to be. It changed everything. My daughter, they were best friends. My 14-year-old daughter does not have her big brother anymore. And that changed our lives. There's no way that I can continue to move forward without finding out what happened to my son, without finding out the truth, and with everybody being involved held accountable. So I'm just asking. I started a petition, and the petition has a lot of clarity, has a lot of behind the scenes things that's been going on. And I'm just asking for anybody that has a heart, that has any children going into any type of public school curriculum or job program, to read my petition, understand that I'm asking for reform for every child, regardless if they are boys like my son. This has something to do with every child that's going into public school. So read that petition, sign it, and share it, so we can demand justice, we can demand answers, and so that This will not happen to no other child, student, daycare recipient, whoever you are in the hands of a public facility. We demand to know and we demand better. So with all your help, I just ask for you to amplify my voice and to demand for justice and change. Thank you.